Hello students, welcome to our next lecture. In previous lectures, we had started our discussion with respect to process state transition diagram. In process state transition diagram, we had picked right now I think three different state transition model. The first one which we had started with, that is two-state model, where we had two states. One is not running state and the one is running state. Now we had picked that this not running state consists so many different things or so many different functionalities which are incorporated in one state. Hence, we moved into the next state model, that is the five state model, where we had converted or we had divided our not running state into multiple parts, and that becomes that this can be new state, this can be ready state, or this can be a waiting state. Now process either is newly created, so it is in new state, or process is now loaded into memory and ready for execution into the CPU, so it is in ready state. And the third one, that after certain time, suppose process wants to move for IO, so it is moving into the wait state. So this not running state get divided into three states. So this is our overall diagram of five state transition diagram, where we had picked that the new state process got created, then it admitted into the RAM. So this becomes ready state, process is ready for execution. Then it got dispatched into the running one. So it got dispatched into the CPU. Then after running, there is a possibility that process will get terminated, or due to certain IO event, it will move to the waiting state. Now from waiting state, it will move to the IO completion, or after completion, it will again move to the ready state for further movement into the running one. We had also picked that why we require direct arrow from running to ready, that is because of interrupt, and why we do not have arrow from waiting to directly running. So we had discussed all those points, and then we have identified that what will happen if my RAM is full. So what will happen? So for that, we had picked our next model, that is our six-state model, where we have considered the RAM overflow. And for that, what we have done, we have introduced a new state, that is suspended state, which says that if waiting state is full, then what will happen? And waiting state is in RAM. So if waiting state is full, then what we need to do, that is explained in six-state model. So what we need to do when waiting state is full? What we will do, we will move those processes into suspended state, and this suspended state is in hard disk. So we will move process into the suspended state, and once my waiting queue gets empty, suppose after a certain time there are certain processes who have completed its task in waiting state and they now moved into the ready. So now waiting queue is free. So what I'll do, I'll revert or I'll send few processes from suspended to waiting state. Now, you can say that there is one more possibility of moving processes from suspended to waiting, and that is I can directly send process from suspended state to the ready state. Now, why I can do this? Can you explain this thing? We can perform this thing. And the reason is that suppose certain process has completed its IO operation, because mm, in suspended state itself your IO is not restricted, so process can perform IO operation. So suppose after completion of IO, now process is ready for next execution, but just because of memory shortage it is waiting into the suspended state. So why you would want to send again that ready process into the waiting state? So what you want? You want that now because process is ready, and suppose that ready queue is free. So what you will do? You will directly send that process into the ready queue. Hence, we can have this arrow also. So that is overall 6-state transition diagram. Now the question arises again, that do we require one more or two more or n more states? So when we consider this thing, so we have picked that this new is in hard disk, this ready is in RAM, this is related to CPU, this is nothing to do with any specific memory because it will get terminated. This is in RAM. So if we are saying that waiting queue can get full, then why not ready queue? Because it is again in RAM. So if RAM is full, then there is a possibility that your ready queue is also full. So if ready queue is full, then where you will send your process? Suppose process is already running in CPU. Now you have admitted certain processes and now you do not have memory, and one process which is running here due to interrupt directly wants to come to the ready state, and waiting is also full. So what it will do? Where it will go after interrupt? So the thing is that we require to manage this ready with respect to memory shortage. And that is the main concept of the next state. That is 7-state model. Here, which state we have considered further? That is ready suspended. Earlier, we had considered suspended state in context of waiting. Now here we have another suspended state in context of ready state. So that is the next point. Now let's try to draw this thing. Uh, Process got admitted into the ready state. Now it is running. After waiting, what we can do? We can send those processes into suspended. Next, if my waiting is empty, I'll bring back those processes. Now I said that if ready is full, then what I'll do, I'll make another state that is ready suspended. So the thing is that yes, I can bring processes into ready suspended. Then what will be the nature of this thing? That if processes comes into the ready suspended state, after memory get free, what will happen to processes which are in ready suspended? So what we can do? We can send processes into ready state directly, because all those processes which are in ready suspended, they are ready for execution, but just because of lack of memory, what happened? We send those processes into the ready suspended state. And that is the main reason that when my ready queue get free, what I'll do, I'll bring processes from ready suspended to ready state. So is this the only arrow we require? What happened, or can we have certain relation between these two states, ready suspended and suspended? So the answer is yes, we can have relationship between blocked suspended or waiting suspended state. Please be aware that this suspended is also known as blocked suspended or wait suspended. So be careful that when I am saying suspended state, it means block suspended or wait suspended state. So what is relation between ready suspended and block suspended state, and where this arrow can move in both directions, from ready suspended to block suspended, from block suspended to ready suspended? So what is your answer? Now, the answer is that what I'll do, I'll move processes from block suspended to ready suspended. Now, what is reason behind it? Reason is that once again, as discussed earlier, that suppose any process X which has completed its IO and waiting to move to the ready state. Now process wants to move to the ready state, but because of lack of memory, it's not able to send to the ready state. So where it can send? It will send to the ready suspended, because ready suspended hold only those processes which are right now ready for execution. So it is clear definition of ready suspended that it holds all processes which are ready for execution. Just because of lack of memory, they are in this state. Hence, I can send a process from suspended state to the ready suspended state. Now the thing is, can we have this arrow? So the answer is no. Why you want to send any process from ready suspended to suspended state? The reason is that we don't want to send any process and we cannot have this arrow. That is that if process is ready for execution and just because of lack of memory it is in this state, then why we want to send it to the waiting suspended, where all processes we have which are waiting for certain IO operations. Now these processes which are in this state are not waiting for any IO operation. They only wants to execute into the CPU, but because of lack of memory, they are in ready suspended state. Hence, the reverse arrow will not be here. So once again, you can see that each and every arrow have clear definition that why they are in this transition diagram, and if any arrow is missing, that justification of it, that why it is not in the diagram. Now you will find in certain if you will Google it, you will find, because in books generally you will not be able to find these kind of stuff. So you will find that there is one arrow from new to directly ready suspended. Now the thing is this thing is possible? And the answer is yes, it is possible. The reason that if ready is full and certain new processes got created or you have double clicked those processes, then where they will move. So they will be in hard disk itself, but they will be in ready suspended, because ready suspended says that whenever my RAM gets free or my ready queue will get free, immediately I need to send those processes which are waiting for running into the CPU. And since those processes got created, they will be in the ready suspended state. So yes, we can have this particular arrow also. So that is overall 7-state transition diagram. What we have done, uh, we have basically 5-state transition diagram consists newly created process moved into the ready state, from ready state to the CPU for running, then either got terminated or will move into the waiting. Then after these 5 states, because of memory or lack of memory, we have incorporated 2 more states, ready suspended state and block suspended state, with respect to hard disk, that whenever any process is not able to enter into the RAM because of shortage of memory, then they will move into the suspended state in hard disk, and divided my suspended state into 2 categories: ready suspended and block suspended. So that is overall 7-state transition diagram. Now the thing is that what you will say, that do we require more state? So I am leaving today's lecture with this again question, that do we require more state? Think of this thing, and this we will discuss in our next class. So in today's lecture, we have focused on state transition diagram, and we have finally completed our 7-state transition diagram. We had started with 2-state model, then 5-state model, 6-state model, then 7-state model. And now again, the question arises that do we require more state? So that is overall for today. We will discuss further with respect to the same question in our next class.